What up, viewers? What up? What up? I have been meaning to put together my take on next gen consoles for quite some time now, and I kind of promised my friends that I would do it. So I kind of want to hop right in and jump right in and give my take. So I think now that next gen is coming, it is the perfect time to talk about the PS5 versus the Xbox Series X. First, I want to give a little background and context and address some of my biases up front. I am an Xbot, or whatever next gen, whatever Xbox fans are calling themselves these days. I loved playing the first Xbox. We got this in my household. We got a hand-me-down Xbox that my brother bought from a friend. It was our console after the N64. I really enjoyed playing Halo. LAN parties, that was a big thing back at the turn of the century, and me and my friends played it constantly. I also got into one of my favorite series. Fable is still to this day one of my favorite game series of all time, and I still think one of the greatest RPGs of all time. And then anytime there was more than one, there was another friend that I could play with, we were playing Gears of War on the Xbox. So a lot of really good series, a lot of things that I have a lot of fun. I remember watching an Xbox 360 press conference back in March of 2006, and I thought that the Kinect was the future of gaming. That, being able to talk and the motion controls of watching your hands, I thought that was the future of gaming. But I was definitely wrong. But I still enjoyed my Kinect. I played things like Skyrim and yelled Fus Ro Dah in my apartment in college. And I also, continued to play the Fable series, even when it tried to do just a gimmicky 360 port or Kinect integration. I bought a day one edition of the Xbox One. I was, continued my fandom. I remember buying Assassin's Creed Black Flag because they came out of the same day, and I didn't end up actually playing it because all my friends were playing Call of Duty Ghosts. It was definitely, again, all of my shooter fan friends, this is kind of where we hung out, was on our Xbox. I remember waiting in line at the La Brea GameStop to kind of pick up Titanfall. We waited in line with, there was about a dozen of us. I ate like cereal all afternoon, just straight out of the box because I'm a weirdo. But eventually a food truck came along with a bunch of the developers from Respawn. They gave us a ticket for free tacos, as well as they signed a bunch of posters for everybody. So still a big Xbox fan. Then one fateful day, one of our friends was really getting into Destiny, was really hyping it up. He picked up Destiny on the PlayStation 4, and I think everybody just followed suit. Even though I already had an Xbox, I don't hold any bitterness whatsoever. But no, I actually haven't looked back. I played Destiny for 2 days on a friend's PlayStation, and then I eventually had to go out to Best Buy, get my own, so that I could spend another 1,000 hours playing Destiny. So super glad that I did that. I really enjoyed playing all the games that I played on PlayStation 4. God of War is still, is one of my favorite games now, and so I'm really glad that I picked up a PlayStation 4. But I did eventually come back. I had been waiting for a while to get back into the Xbox family. I'd given my day one edition to my parents, and so I still wanted an Xbox. I was really excited for the Xbox One X, and so I had been carrying around a Game Pass Ultimate, and I'd been using it for like a bookmark for like a year before I even decided to get in. Gears 4 came out with, Gears 5 came out with their special edition one, and I still pick on it to this day. Every time I turn on my Xbox, I say my water's breaking because the sound of the crushing ice or whatever, it just is a weird sound. But yeah, I really enjoyed playing that and getting back into it, and it got me into kind of the Game Pass ecosystem. So I'm really glad to have gotten back into it. Next, I am not making this for everyone. I am trying to convince just a dozen or so of my friends. I am not trying to convince all users everywhere, and so I just want to confront that up front that I'm just talking to my friends. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I'm not trying to convince every single one out there of my opinion. So just wanted to get through that. And last but certainly not least, I'm buying both. So I'm not voting with my wallet. I am not, picking a side. I'm going to pick up both. I enjoy playing games on both. I like the exclusive on the PlayStation. I like the PlayStation exclusives. I like playing Game Pass on Xbox. So I'm picking up both. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. And last but not least, all of my opinions are based on research and not any kind of like hands-on impressions. Again, just trying to confront my biases up front. Next, we can't really talk about console generations without talking about the specs. First off, we got the CPU. I'm not the craziest hardware junkie in the world, so a lot of these numbers kind of seem like Chinese to me. I only started building my first PC this year, so I'm finally, into that kind of realm, but definitely just a toe in the water. Seeing the refresh rates and the same manufacturer on all of these, there's not very much difference, but maybe a slight edge goes to Xbox Series X on this one. Next, we have the graphics card. Again, I remember when teraflops became the main metrics for people who wanted to talk about consoles. Xbox really wanted to convince people that they had the most powerful console on the market, and they started throwing this weird word at us like teraflops. And again, Xbox continues to try and claim that best. So talking about RAM, most everything runs at 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is fine for everything but the Series X or Series S. So nothing really to worry about there. Everything is kind of running at the same rate. This is a big one, with most modern consoles being at 1 terabyte, or at least all the upper tier current gen consoles are at 1 terabyte. So hardware space has definitely been a big thing, especially with Call of Duty and its 250 gigabytes of data. So Xbox Series X has its 1 terabyte, but once you factor in the operating system, things start to get a little bit closer. PlayStation has their 800 gigabyte drive. Once you factor in the operating system, they're about 650. Xbox is about 800, and then the Series S one was kind of hard to research because we didn't know if it was going to be the full operating system and they would be the full 200 gigabytes. So they're somewhere around the 360 range. Take these numbers with a little skepticism. Every next gen console can handle 4K, and some of them are even touting that they can go up to 8K. I don't really think that matters all too much with 4K adoption somewhere around the 50% range. I don't think it is that important. It's good for future-proofing your console. That if you're going to have this console for the next 6-7 years or so, being able to do 8K is fine, but 4K is still not everywhere. So it's not really a big deal there. Frame rate, again, not a big deal here. Everything can do 120 FPS. So it just falls to like the developers to kind of work with the platforms to try and get everything running at this upper echelon. I've already started to hear rumors that like there is very little difference between 60 FPS and 120 FPS. So I'm not really thinking that this one's going to be a seller too much. PlayStation caught a lot of crap for not having a 4K UHD Blu-ray in their PlayStation 4 Pro. The Xbox One X had a 4K Blu-ray player. It also seems funny because Sony is Blu-ray is a proprietary technology that Sony has, so not having it in their upper tier console, they received a lot of crap for it, but they've remedied that. Everything with the disc drive, the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 with the disc, and the Xbox Series X both have 4K UHD Blu-rays. So if you haven't bent the knee to the digital overlords, you can still get your 4K UHD Blu-ray drive in either of your next-gen consoles. This one I had a lot of fun with. I just wanted to put the dimensions. I have 3 different angles here of what the kind of consoles look like. Some of the colors might seem a little close, so I apologize for that. but the smallest one is the Xbox Series S. The Xbox Series X is kind of the boxier one, but just really shows how big the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation 5 really is. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you a representation of that. So I dedicated a lot of slide space for this. It really is a big console. PlayStation opted for the futuristic router kind of look. So that's what if that's what you like. I've given them a lot of crap for it, but I think I think there's a lot to it, but I think it kind of grew on me. I kind of like the aesthetic, but as for how practical it is and whether or not it can fit on a shelf, Xbox kind of has that covered with the kind of plain brick, square, rectangular prism kind of look. So it's just a fridge. It'll slot in on a shelf quite easily, something that I don't think the PlayStation 5 can really claim. And then the Series X is like really the size of like a book. Some of those big Harry Potter books, like it just kind of slots on a shelf, and I kind of appreciate that about the Series S. Most importantly is the price point. Both of the upper tier next gen consoles are $500, but for the lower gen, for the lower entries, the Series X or the Series S is only $300, which I think is very nice. The PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation 5's comp at $400 for a discless version. You are taking a little bit of a hit technologically, but I really think the $300 is really a good strong price point. This is where the Nintendo Switch is, or the regular Nintendo Switch is. So it's really trying to get people a easy way to get into the future of gaming, into next gen with this $300 price point, and I really think that was a good move. Moving right along, we can't talk about next gen without talking about the games. So let's jump right in. The launch exclusives for PlayStation 5 are right here. I am by no means going to try and say that the Xbox launch exclusives are just as powerful, or there's just as many of them, or just as good. But jumping right in, I know Demon's Souls and Godfall look really good. I'm really looking forward to the Spider-Man kind of 1.5. I think Miles Morales looks really good. I'm going to probably opt for the $70 version because I never played 2018's Spider-Man, but having a sequel of that at your launch I think is really, really strong. And Astro's Playroom is, comes with the console, so maybe it doesn't count, but it looks really fun, so I think it counts. And then talking about games that aren't at launch, kind of the future of games coming to the PlayStation 5. I think Ratchet and Clank, I'm kind of cheating here because it comes in the launch window. I think we'll see it before the end of the year, but it just won't be there day and date with the console launch. Final Fantasy finally having another entry and coming to like a fantasy setting as opposed to the more sci-fi settings that we've seen. I'm really excited for a God of War sequel. Like I said, it's one of my favorite games of all time. And a Horizon sequel. I didn't play the first one either, so but I do like to get in kind of in the I don't know what it is about me, but I do tend to get into games on the number 2 of any larger franchises. So I'm looking forward to playing Horizon Forbidden West as well. You'll also have a lot of third-party titles at launch. You'll be able to play the next Call of Duty game. Borderlands is putting out an Ultimate Edition coming to both consoles. Assassin's Creed Valhalla will be on both of them, so the latest installment of Assassin's Creed will be there. Destiny 2's latest expansion will be there. So, and a couple of games are kind of up-resing to be there kind of at launch again with like the Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition and Watchdog Legion. So there'll definitely be content to play if you buy a next-gen console next week, even if it's not exclusive to the console that you're buying. Like I said, I'm not going to tout that the launch exclusives are the best in the world for the Xbox. I am looking forward to playing Gears Tactics on a console, considering it's been exclusive to PC for most of this year. And Scorn is just weird enough to kind of get me excited, so I'm looking forward to that game. But again, this is no way. I think this is a big detriment to the Series X or the Xbox consoles, in that they're not launching with a lot of really big exclusives. But I am really excited about the future of Xbox. I think everyone, all fans, and including Microsoft themselves, would have wanted to see Halo Infinite in that launch window, but it's been pushed out. Hopefully, we get a better game than what we saw the last time we saw it. Like I said, I'm also a big Fable fan, and in no way am I trying to also say that these are coming in the same kind of time window as the future titles for the PlayStation 5. Those, I think, are a lot further along than these games on the Xbox side of things. But I am excited for Fable. Like I said, it's one of my favorite series of all times. The sequel to Hellblade, again, another one of my favorites. So I'm really looking forward to these games. And the big thing that we got to talk about, the elephant in the room, is Bethesda. The fact that Microsoft has purchased Bethesda means that I think all future games could be on there. I think Phil Spencer has said something along the lines of that Microsoft can recoup the cost of Bethesda without putting out those games on PlayStation. So I don't know if that was as a threat. I don't think it's a threat to like Ghostwire or Deathloop. I think that the deals for those are already cemented in place. So those exclusives probably aren't going anywhere, and probably will still be exclusive to that. But as a huge Bethesda fan, I definitely have to say that I am very excited. We've already seen Doom Eternal come to Game Pass, so I am really looking forward to playing all the Bethesda games, potentially exclusively on my Microsoft console. There's no way I can get out of next gen without talking about the subscription service. Again, I've said it a couple times along the way, but I'm trying to do a fair comparison. So PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live Gold are not going anywhere. They'll still be your $60 a year or $10 a month purchase. I didn't even know there was a $10 a month fee. I don't know anybody who doesn't just do the annual subscription. But and you'll still get your 2 free games a month or something like that. PlayStation is trying to kind of, up the ante with PlayStation Plus Collection, where they're going to add about a dozen titles that are just going to perpetually be in your catalog. So they are attempting to kind of jump into the game, but by no means is this something that is anywhere near comparable. When comparing PlayStation Now and Game Pass, I kind of scratched my head because PlayStation Now, $20 a month seems a little bit steep, rather than the $10 a month for Game Pass. And they have twice as many games, so I was really scratching my head about what the big deal is and why there's so many more Game Pass users than PlayStation Now users. And one of the big things I think is the kind of line that's not at the top of that list, but the day and date. The fact that all future first-party titles and some third-party titles are going to launch day and date on Game Pass, and the fact that you can just pay $10 a month and get the latest and greatest games, I really think gave it an edge. Also, the cost of entry was like $2 a month, or like $2 some time ago for a large stretch of time. So it really kind of built that base, and they kind of just gave it away for a long time. But still, checking their sites, you can still get Game Pass for like your first month is only $1. So that's really looking good. EA Play is already included in there, so they're only getting bigger and stronger. And as they include more and more Bethesda titles, again, bigger and stronger. And they're really bundling everything together. I really like Game Pass Ultimate, where I get Xbox games with gold. I get Game Pass on both my PC and my Xbox. And eventually xCloud's coming to Game Pass Ultimate as well. So if I want to play it on a browser, on mobile, or on PC, that is kind of the place to be. And I really like the ease of bundling it all together, and the futureness of it. So I'm looking forward to more and more Game Pass as it gets bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger. There's little extras along the way that I didn't want to dedicate full slides to, but I still wanted to talk about. Backwards compatibility, I think, is the kind of topic that only pops up every time there's a new console generation, people want to be able to keep their library of games and bring them forward into next gen. Um, PlayStation has committed to most of the PlayStation 4 library coming to PlayStation 5, but Xbox has gone a step further and said all Xbox One games will be compatible with the Series X, along with some specific X360 games. Now, when I say specific, I'm thinking mostly first-party titles, but maybe any other ones that they can get their hands on, as well as back to original Xbox games. So if you're looking to really build out that back catalog, I got to give the edge here to the Xbox. VR is, it's got a couple million people out there playing their VR games, and PlayStation has kind of really entered into the arena. I think they have like 4 or 5 million VR headsets sold, and they're going to continue to support it on the PlayStation 5. I think there's going to be a new one coming up sometime soon. And Microsoft has said that the technology within the console is strong enough to support VR, but they have no plans whatsoever, or no plans currently to jump in. I think they'll partner with someone, and I think they had already talked about Oculus, I think at one of the E3s in the last couple years, and Oculus is really blowing up, so maybe they'll just partner with someone and make sure it's compatible with their next-gen consoles. Controllers, I think controllers are always something people are really really adamant about, and they really want to know, people have their preferences with controllers, so I didn't want to just like throw that one out the window. There's a lot of technology being added into the PlayStation 5 controller with the haptic feedback. The built-in mic, I think, is hit or miss. I'm wondering how practical it is if you're going to pick up, the fan that sits behind me, or any of that kind of stuff when I just kind of turn it on. But it's nice to have it built in and not that stupid one-ear dangly thing that comes with all PlayStation 4s. So I really think they're really stepping up their tech game. Microsoft's going with the "if it ain't broke, don't fix it" approach. So they are really they're really kind of standing behind theirs. The new D-pad is a little cute, but it's not really a big deal. But they already have arguably one of the better controllers on the market with the Elite 2. So if you have $200 to spend on one of the greatest controllers out there, it's already being sold by Microsoft. So yeah, I think that Microsoft, I don't think they're really concerned with raising the technology in their kind of standard controller that comes with the console. Now on to my final thoughts, is where I make my closing statement. There's always the idea that all my friends and I just switch over to Stadia. Rather than buying a next gen, we could just, for $10 a month, we get access to 150 non-exclusive games to Stadia, and we could be playing PC games on any Google browser. I can only keep that up for so long. I definitely don't think this is a viable option, but I just wanted to throw it in there because, potentially people are going to switch from current gen onto Stadia rather than buying a $400 or $500 next gen console. But I definitely don't think that this is the option that's going to sweep the market. Here it is. Here's my closing statements. I'm finally here. I know I'm fighting an uphill battle trying to convince people to kind of switch sides or pick a side when it comes to next gen gaming. I know that people they've put a lot of time and energy into their PlayStation 4 games. They want to continue to do that with their PlayStation 5. What I'm really trying to convince you of is somehow finding a way to set aside $300 so that you can get an Xbox Series X, plus about $10 to $15 a month, so that we can play all of the greatest first-party games on Xbox. So even if the console is just a Game Pass box for you, I really think that this is, that there's a lot of effort and energy to be saved. If I know that we all want to be pirates, and we haven't been given the opportunity to run around and be pirates together. So playing Sea of Thieves on Game Pass will be great. And we don't have the headache of trying to worry about people buying into games. As long as it's on Game Pass, we can all play it together. And I think that saves a lot of time and energy and effort. We can all just say, we got our Xboxes, we'll hop on Game Pass, we'll start playing as soon as we download. So that's what I'm trying to convince you of. along with some nice to haves. I think the small design means that it can be tucked away and you only have to pull it out every time we want to play an Xbox game together. So I really think that that is a plus as well. Backwards compatibility, I really think that Xbox has the edge here. They're going further back and deeper into the catalog to try and kind of create this enormous ecosystem of games that you never have to give up. So I really think that's it. The CEO, or I think it was Tim Ryan, someone at Sony had said that they really believe in console generations, and they were trying to say that, like, maybe you'll be able to play the previous generation on future the you'll be able to play the PlayStation 4 games on PlayStation 5. You'll be able to play PlayStation 5 games on PlayStation 6, but they really wanted to keep that delineation separate. Whereas Xbox, they just want you to be playing Xbox games. So I really think that there's an edge here with backwards compatibility if you really want to build up that back catalog of games that you never want to give up. So yeah, I really think that Xbox has the edge here. xCloud I think is going to be some of the future of gaming with cloud streaming. Stadia again isn't the strongest contender. Amazon's hopping into the box, but I think as soon as they roll cloud streaming in with Game Pass, or bring Game Pass, this is crackpot theory, but if they start bringing Game Pass to different platforms, I definitely think that they're really trying to grow this ecosystem, and xCloud is only going to make the sales pitch even stronger. I always end my presentations with a T Hanks, and ask if anybody has any questions, because I am a professional. Damn it, I put on this tie, and that means that I am very professional. And last but certainly not least, I just wanted to thank you for attending my TED Talk. Great. So that's it from me. Let me know if I convinced you or any of your friends. Feel free to share this with them to try and convince them to jump your way if you're an Xbox fan, because that's where I kind of sit. Last but certainly not least, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch so you can see more great content like this. I hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye.